All right, let's talk about the new Superman movie, Superman 2025, James Gunn Superman, whatever you want to call it. I definitely want to talk about this because a lot of you guys like when I talk about movies. You said you wanted some more, so why not? Superman is the perfect movie to talk about, especially because it's like some of my favorite things, comic book stuff, movies, and I'm going to find an excuse to talk about video games in this too, probably. But before I get into it too hard, I'm not going to do spoilers. I am going to do spoilers a little later in the video, but I'll let you know. So for now, the movie just came out. You know, you're busy. So this chunk will be spoiler free. Top level, in conclusion, TLDR, whatever, I enjoyed Superman. I did not love it. It wasn't like the end all be all movie, like change my life, change the world, change DC, whatever. It had a lot of expectations lumped on it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good time. I thought it was big and overstuffed, and I think some of the James Gunn-ness and DC Universe stuff got in the way of what were some of the best aspects of the movie. And those best aspects of the movie, I think, still make this absolutely worth watching. I love the Superman here. I love this interpretation of Superman. It is very cool. I love the Clark Kent Lois Lane stuff here. It is very well done. I love Ma and Pa Kent. Like, I love all the emotional beats. A lot of the action I like. Not all of the action, because some of it was muddled in like dark CGI, but a lot of really good moments. And most importantly, there's a lot of confidence here that I really like right when this movie kicks off, a couple of things like bam, bam, here's Superman. Look how cool he looks. Here he is in the sky doing the pose. You feel the confidence. You're like, oh shit, okay, this is not afraid to just jump right into it being Superman. And I think that's to the movie's credit. This movie, I watched it and I like being surprised, and I don't like calling shots beforehand, but this movie ended up proving a lot of my assumptions, where following the release, I was like, man, this movie feels like it's going to be loaded with stuff. And also, man, this movie is going to be comic booky as hell. And I don't know how mainstream audiences are going to jive with it. And both of those things were true, but I think it seems like general audiences are really loving this, despite the super crazy, fantastical, cosmic aspect of Superman that I think not a lot of people are exposed to. I think it works here, though. And I also think like it's just refreshing to see this interpretation of Superman, just like an earnest, hopeful, do-gooder, happy Superman. And I say that as somebody who liked Man of Steel quite a bit. I treated it as kind of like an Elseworlds interpretation, but I get clowned on, but I liked Man of Steel. But I'm also like, I like DC a lot. I am very much more a Batman guy. I've read like everything Batman. But in terms of Superman, like by being a Batman fan, by association, you kind of end up absorbing a lot of Superman. And Superman on his own, I do like, All-Star Superman, of course, is like referenced in probably every YouTube video you've watched. John Byrne, Superman, American Alien's really good. The Grant Morrison New 52 Superman I kind of like. There's Kingdom Come, and then there's that other collection that Alex Ross did of like the Trinity. I'm getting sidetracked, but I like how this felt more in line with the Superman that I've seen on the page in various instances. Not only just bright and colorful and more happy-go-lucky, but just willing to go over the top with a lot of things, with all these other superhero characters showing up and existing, right? With Lex Luthor being kind of over the top, with, Superman being from space really feeling like a spacey sci-fi thing here. Does that make sense? I think David Cornsweet does a really good job. I think he comes off very hopeful, very goody two-shoes. Gee, shucks. They might push it a little too far for some people, but it worked for me here. He does also come off young, which is very interesting. I have always looked at Superman in, Superman media beyond the movies as a little bit more of a father-like figure. And this Superman, although we skip the origin and he's into his career as Superman, still comes off very young to me. And I don't know if it's the actor, the look, or the writing, with how Superman is very almost naive to a fault with just how goody two shoes he is. Like, this isn't a spoiler, but at one point in the movie, he like saves a squirrel. But like, even though I say that like, oh, it's not really like what I imagine. Like I think of Superman more as a father. This still worked for me. Like I still really enjoyed watching him. And I think, again, like a lot of the big picture stuff here, not like the DC universe building shit or anything like that. That's cool, whatever. I'm on board, but I'm on board not because of all the crazy stuff, but because of of the strength of Superman here, the strength of Lois Lane here, that stuff. The confidence of this Superman shot in broad daylight, flying around, punching stuff, saving people, going out of his way to save people. The fact that the movie is excited to show you Superman being Superman and doing real, genuine Superman-y stuff and having a little fun with it, I think is good. I think it might be very, very James Gunny, and I like James Gunn, but for Superman, I never knew if that was going to be the fit. And, you know, my assumptions were kind of confirmed here. My only problem really is that there's just like almost too much movie in it, and the plot elements, like, you know, Superman's big threats, there are a lot of them. And I think, you know, cramming all of them in here at once means that none of them can really breathe. I think almost all the things that Superman faces, a lot of it's set up in like the beginning of the movie. Each one could have been its own film, but here they crammed them all in. Only some of them have good resolutions, and it also means that, like I said, it gets in the way of just good Superman stuff, just good Lois Lane stuff, just good Lex stuff. I still had a really good time. I found it very entertaining. I definitely want to talk a little bit more about Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. There's a lot there. Overall, I recommend it. You have to go in with an open mind. If you go in wanting Henry Cavill, you're not going to get that. I think Henry Cavill could have been the perfect Superman. He was just given a bad hand with some of it. But ultimately, I like this movie. Is it my favorite comic book superhero movie ever? No. Is it my favorite DC movie thing ever? No. But I liked it. I really like this Superman specifically. And yeah, I'm excited to see where they can build off of this. So pause this video then, go see it. And now maybe come back, watch me talk about spoilers, because that's what I'm going to do right now. Spoiler warning for you. If you're still washing the dishes or folding laundry, 3, 2, 1. Spoiler warning, pause this video. Okay, so really with spoiler talk, with what I said with it starting with confidence, what I really, really liked was it just starting with a text crawl. I know, like, I've spoken to some people that didn't like that. I thought that was cool. I think that just kind of hypes me up in movies. Maybe it's because I'm like a born and bred Star Wars person, but just seeing it pop up and be like, hey, metahumans started here, then heroes popped up, then Superman landed on Earth here, and today he lost his first fight. I was like, okay, all right, this is cool. I don't know, I just sounded like a very exciting way to start it. And then it was interesting how it did start in a predictable way. If you like saw the trailer, like you know what's going on here. Superman loses his first big fight, and it was cool to see. I don't really have too much of a problem with Superman getting his ass kicked. He gets his ass kicked a lot in this movie, and I would say maybe a little bit too much. But overall, as a concept, I don't mind Superman, you know, getting beat up sometimes losing, sometimes getting pushed into the ground. I know people are like, no, Superman shouldn't be weak, but like, we've also seen Goku be put in a fucking crater. None of this matters. I don't know. It's got to be interesting sometimes. And I think ultimately the movie still does a really good job also showcasing his strength. I wish there was more, but moments like him fighting the kaiju, I thought were just incredible examples of Supermaning. From his sheer strength, being able to stop this giant monster from falling into a building and causing more collateral damage, stopping its foot like right underneath it like that, like classic Superman. That stuff really, really worked for me. I thought that scene was so good. Hey, now next up, this video is sponsored by Vessie. If you're new around here, you should know that this is dependable, high quality footwear. They have different shapes, colors, sizes for every type of person, every type of situation. But speaking of situation, they're 100% waterproof. And that's what just really, no pun intended, seals the deal here. Whether you're out on a hike in the woods or you're in a city, maybe you're caught in the rain suddenly, you step in a puddle, it's no big deal. You don't have to go home for a change of socks. That level of freedom is unprecedented. You gotta really try it to believe just how big of a difference that makes. Like I said, they're always coming out with new colors and cool styles and stuff like that. So check out the Pacific sneaker. This is another new lightweight option that's nice and stretchy, nice and comfortable, thicker sole, kind of a little bit of an athletic styling to it. It's got padded heel lock, so if you're walking around town all day, your feet aren't gonna hurt. It makes a difference. On your way to work, on your way home, stuck in the rain, like I said, Vessie really has you covered. So if you want to check them out, there is a QR code on screen here. Check that out, or all you gotta do is click the link in the description down below or head to vessie.com/onjake. When you're there, you'll get 15% off your first purchase. Again, that's vessie.com/onjake. Check it out, stay dry, And big thanks to Vessie for sponsoring this video. But again, to go back to the confidence, I think a lot of that is the confidence stuff. And like you right away when like he goes to the Fortress of Solitude in the beginning, he heals up and then he blasts off and flies back to Metropolis. That just feels good. And the movie has a lot of this where it's like really, really good shots of him being Superman, doing Superman. You can see even wide shots with him as a small figure, right? You see him, you see this red and blue figure and you're like, there he is. But also the movie almost like there was points where I was like, are they using CGI? Like, is this a CGI shot? He looks so Superman from the page. I don't know. There are certain shots in this movie where you catch him and you're like, whoa, holy fuck. After he fights Not Bizarro towards the end, and there's that shot of him where he just turns and you're like, whoa, there's Superman. When he saves the woman in the car who's trapped from like the building falling on her, and she drives away and she looks in her rear view mirror, and that's where you see Superman rising up, and like you're like, damn, that's that silhouette. And that gives off almost like a godlike kind of Superman thing, which the Snyder movies arguably pushed pretty hard, but here used in spurts, I think is really, really good. So I'm if you can't tell, I'm really jumping around back and forth here. These videos are often just streams of consciousness, right? Lex Luthor is another interesting one. I am really into Nicholas Hoult in general. I'm a huge fan of him. Like, I might be one of his biggest fans. I love this guy. Everything he's ever been in. I even watched the Tolkien biopic he was in. Like, I like this guy. And I think he is a very good choice for Lex Luthor. I actually wish he was given more in this movie because he does come off a little just kind of like whiny and sniveling at times. But where you take him seriously is where it matters, I think, with him just willing to destroy the whole city and like whatever. But also the Russian roulette scene. That's where it escalates and you're like, oh, this guy's serious. He's not just like mad corpo guy or mad scientist guy. Like, he really is big supervillain. He's creating these pocket dimensions, and then he's also just willing to shoot people in the head. Random guys, just a random guy that helps Superman. And Superman's reaction to that is so good. And it's like a through line with this movie. And what I think of when I think of Superman's, you know, and to a fault, Batman of all people also have this, right? This is kind of like a thing where they have a shared belief, but like the idea of preserving life above all else. And with every loss in this movie, Superman genuinely feeling and reacting to really works. Him and Lois Lane, also, the scenes together, there's only a few, but they're very, very good. I found them really effective. Rachel Brosnahan, to me, like, I'm like, damn, that's like the Lois Lane I kind of like imagine in my head. So that worked out really well. But her also having stuff to do and not just kind of being annoying or in the way. And then also Ma and Pa Kent. I thought the scenes with them were like the best. Like, I absolutely loved how they were portrayed, how they were portrayed older, how they were portrayed like actual genuine real country people and not actors, like, you know what I mean? And I think that just really worked because he had these like older, goofier but kind-hearted parents that ultimately imparted some incredible wisdom on him. Now, it is interesting how they tweak the origin, right? With Jor-El and Lara. First things first, Bradley Cooper. It totally took me out of the movie. I was like, nope, I don't see that. As soon as he popped up, everyone in the theater was like, oh, Bradley Cooper. And I was like, oh no, Bradley Cooper. I don't know. Look, I guess maybe it was the same thing when people watching the Richard Donner movie who were from that time period that saw Marlon Brando on screen and they were just like, oh, that's Marlon Brando. That's me looking at Bradley Cooper. I go, that's Bradley Cooper. That is not Jor-El. But hey, whatever. I don't know why I didn't have that problem as much with Russell Crowe, but yeah, that took me out of it. That aside, the origin change. I think the origin change with, his parents seemingly imparting him with a message more of like, hey, do whatever you need to with this planet. You know, a little bit more of a sinister nature to it. It's not something that hasn't been done before. And I even think like some comics have touched on it. And I also think like, didn't Smallville... I feel like Smallville had a thing with like Jor-El kind of being a little iffy. I think that there is a way, like I think it's important for Superman to be a culmination of both of his parents, right? Both of his sets of parents. What I like about Superman is that he is adopted, technically, sort of, right? So for one of the parents kind of being good and one of them kind of being bad or partially bad can throw off that balance. But a couple of things, right? Number one, None of this matters. But number two, most importantly, number one, it can change. It could have been Lex Luthor really lying. I know they gave Mr. Terrific a line to be like, nope, it's definitely real. But they could change it, whatever. But also, I think that the payoff of Pa Kent saying to Superman, hey, what you took from that video says more about you. The fact that you got this message from your parents, you were sent to this planet with incredible powers, but you chose to interpret that message, and you just chose to go out and be a good person. And his dad, which his dad imparted that wisdom on him, right? Like, he raised him, but his dad giving him that compliment and gassing him up, saying, hey, you are a good person, don't worry about that, because you did this, because you took this in this direction, that says a lot about you. That I think really, really worked emotionally. That got me. But ultimately, like, the through line with all of this, with Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, with Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, with Ma and Pa Kent, I just wish there was more of that. The Justice Gang, awesome. Maxwell Lord, cool. The pocket dimensions and Metamorpho showing up, the fact that the engineer in this is still like so weird, like, that's cool that stuff is in there, and I'm glad that this movie is excited to just dump a bunch of cool comic book stuff on people. But I think it did get in the way, like, because I wanted more time with Superman just doing Superman, with Lois and Clark just doing Lois and Clark, with Lex really them building on like why he really hates Superman. There were some lines here and there, but that, and then some of the humor. I liked a lot of the humor, but like, I didn't need their final confrontation at the end. Like, I didn't need Superman and Lex's confrontation at the end be interrupted by Krypto just mauling him. I don't know. I'm not like a grump, and I'm not like anti-humor, anti-levity. It's because the other stuff was so good that I just wanted more of that. And it was so good that I felt like all this other stuff was getting in the way. The Justice Gang, cool, whatever. I love Isabella Merced. I thought she was like the only good thing about The Last of Us season 2. I also like Guy Gardner, and I don't like Guy Gardner as a character that much, to be honest. He has moments, but I liked Nathan Fillion doing him. I felt like they nailed that. Mr. Terrific, very cool. He's someone that, like, in stories that I've read, he only pops up here and there. So I had a very like one note interpretation of him. So it was cool to see him be shown off more here. And also, it's really cool that like people are like, hey, Mr. Terrific's awesome. And now he's like in the mainstream conversation, right? But ultimately, like, I didn't need them to be in it, and I didn't care that much. I don't think that they really helped too much, other than that they were there to show that Superman is on a planet with other superheroes. And that, even though that is the case, Superman stands out. Superman is different. That worked, sure, but again, I could have just had more Superman squaring up with Lex, Superman having a relationship with Lois Lane, Superman and really Clark Kent, more Superman doing Daily Planet stuff, because a lot of the movie was the idea that like, all right, we nailed the casting, we nailed the characterization, we nailed the costuming, we nailed the feel. All these things feel like how comic book people would want them. Perry White, Jimmy Olsen, Steve Lombard, even like all these people, really, really great, nailed it. But they're just kind of like cameos. They're barely in the movie. And when they are there, because they're not like a core pillar, it's just like another thing added in the movie that kind of got in the way of, again, those core central things I would have rather have spent more time with. Still, I think this does feel like a cool playground, a cool universe that I do want to see more stuff in. Granted, I don't think everything in this new DC universe is going to have the exact same James Gunn tone, but I like that this is at least starting on a lighter, more colorful, more sci-fi tone, world building. I would love to see Batman in this world. I know, of course, I'm going to bring it back to Batman as a Batman fan, but like, if they're doing a Brave and the Bold, cool. I'm good. Look, I know there's a lot of talk and speculation, and they've come out and said no, but like, oh man, what if the Robert Pattinson Batman is in this universe? And honestly, like, I'm just having fun here. I'm spitballing. I actually could see it. I like it. And I almost think that the bright, colorful metropolis and do-goody nature of this Superman can be a fun contrast to the dark, dour Gotham City. That Gotham City does feel a little fantastical in a way. They kind of toned it down with the Penguin show, but Yeah, I don't know. I could see them on screen together. I think it actually could work in some weird world, or either way, like I would just like to see it. I think it would be fun. But it's a win-win for me because I also wouldn't mind a more, this sounds like ridiculous, but like quote unquote comic book accurate Batman. That doesn't mean a lot these days because there's so many interpretations, but like a Batman that is Batman, he is Batman, but he's in a more fantastical world. He's surrounded by larger than life characters. He interacts with Superman. He sometimes deals with, interdimensional beings or fantasy or magic. I would love to see that. So either way, whatever they end up doing, how Batman fits into this, I'm excited to see that shit. Like I said at the start, like I really like this movie. It's not like a 10 out of 10 for me, slam dunk. I think it's a little overstuffed. There was time I wish they spent more time with, but what's there is very, very good. The good stuff in this movie is excellent. Also, I think just like, it's great to see a movie where it's just like, hey, Superman, what if a guy is nice? With my favorite podcast, The Weekly Planet, you will believe a man could be nice. But like genuinely, like actually, like Superman just seems like he wants to help and do the right thing. Dogs are cool. Dogs are great. And also caring about dogs and worrying about dogs is cool and fun. Not to mention a CGI dog that I didn't think I would feel any connection to, but it was probably one of the better CGI dogs we've seen. Where are you going? What? You want to be up? You want to be in this? Come here. Come on up. Come on up. Say hi. Boston, say hi. Come on up. See, I'm just like Superman. I have a dog that doesn't listen. Up. Oh, good boy. There you are. Say hello, Boston. Yeah, I think that's good. I like that it ended up being Kara's dog. And I also like how she showed up because, yeah, well, on one hand, like her first appearance, her being drunk, some people aren't going to like that. But it does tie into Woman of Tomorrow, which is very good. So hopefully the movie's good. Either way, yay Superman, yay dogs. Good dog, good Boston. What's up? Well, I think I've talked enough about Superman. This was very rambly, very stream of consciousness, just like stream of thought, whatever. So let me know what you think. I'd love to know your thoughts on anything from the Hammer of Baravia and all the war stuff that I totally glossed over because it just kind of crammed the movie more. But that to Superman being cloned, to Lex Luthor, to all these little cameos and nods and appearances, and to the kaiju fight, which I thought was like one of the best aspects of the movie action-wise. Let's talk about Superman. Anything at all? I want to hear from you down in the comments. It'd be fun. Be nice. But thank you for being here and listening to me talk about Superman for that long, 20 plus minutes. Clicking the like button does help me legitimately. If you like what I'm trying to do here, I'm just trying to talk about stuff I like, stuff I find interesting. But really, that's it. I'm Jake Baldito. Subscribe because video games. Pizza's on me. Say bye, boss.